everyone. Welcome back to Finance Friday. It's another special edition of Money Girl where I answer your burning money questions. Today's topic comes from Cassandra from Queens, New York, who says, I'm 56 years old and work for a New York City agency. I've had many good jobs in my lifetime, but I don't have a 401k. However, I do have a New York City pension plan and an IRA. Do I need a 401k? And is it wise to open one in this current political climate with so much market volatility? Thank you from a forever and grateful listener. Cassandra, thank you so much for your question and for being part of the Money Girl community. I love that you're thinking about investing more for retirement. Regularly contributing to one or more tax-advantaged retirement accounts is wise if you want a financially comfortable retirement. So this podcast will review 5 types of retirement accounts. We'll talk about their rules and benefits and who qualifies to use them. I appreciate you downloading episode 925 of the Money Girl podcast. I'm your host, Laura Adams. I'm an award-winning author, speaker, spokesperson, and founder of The Money Stack. That's my Substack newsletter. You can subscribe for free or become a paid member and support the show and get access to live educational events. I'd love to have you in that community as well. You can learn more and connect with me at lauradadams.com. That's also where you can email me your money question. I would love to hear whether you've got a question or a comment. You can also record a message on our voicemail at 302-364-0308. We always love hearing from you. So let's talk about 5 types of retirement accounts. So first of all, an important concept to know when we're talking about retirement accounts is that they're not investments in and of themselves. You know, a lot of people think that, well, I have a 401k, so I have this investment. You could actually have cash sitting inside a retirement account that is not invested. So what they are is terrific places to own investments so that you get preferential tax treatment. I like to consider a retirement account like your house or apartment. It shelters and protects you, but it's not you. Similarly, a retirement account is a shelter that protects your investments from taxation while you own them inside the account. And different accounts offer different tax benefits, which we'll review. So we'll go through 5 retirement accounts that you may be eligible for, depending on your income and your employment. Number 1 is a traditional individual retirement account, or IRA. A traditional IRA is available to anyone at any age with earned income, including wages, salaries, commissions, taxable alimony, and self-employment income. For an IRA, some types of income are excluded. So these could be things like earnings and profits from real estate, interest income, and pension or annuity income. So again, it's really only looking at earned income, the things that you're, actively doing for the most part to earn income. And the contributions you make to an IRA get allocated to your chosen investments. And as I mentioned, you could just choose a CD and have money sitting, not earning much, or it could even be in a cash account. So depending on the investing firm's menu, you may be able to purchase stocks, exchange-traded funds or ETFs, mutual funds, index funds, CDs, and money market funds. For 2025, you can contribute an amount equal to your or your spouse's, if you file taxes jointly, your earned income up to $7,000. However, if you're over 50, you can contribute an additional $1,000 or $8,000 total. Now, the primary benefit of owning investments in a traditional IRA is that you don't pay tax on the money you put in the account. In other words, your contributions are tax deductible. However, your future withdrawals of contributions and earnings are subject to your ordinary income tax rate at the time. As your IRA investments grow, you only pay tax on the earnings once you withdraw them, and you can begin taking penalty-free distributions after the official retirement age of 59 and a half. And you must start taking required minimum distributions, or RMDs, after age 73, or that will be 75, beginning in the year 2033. If you withdraw from a traditional IRA before 59 and a half, in most cases you must pay income tax on the withdrawal plus an additional 10% early withdrawal penalty. So that's why I never recommend breaking open a traditional retirement piggy bank. It's just too expensive. All right, the second type of retirement account that you should know about is a Roth IRA. Now, unlike a traditional IRA, you can only contribute to a Roth IRA when you earn less than an annual threshold, which I'm going to cover in a moment. So if you qualify, you can make Roth IRA contributions with qualifying earned income regardless of your age. For 2025, the contribution limit for a Roth IRA is the same as a traditional IRA. So it's equal to your or your spouse's earned income up to $7,000 or $8,000 if you're over 50. With a Roth, you make after-tax, non-deductible contributions and can make tax-free withdrawals in retirement. So having that tax-free income later in life could allow you to skip decades of account growth, saving a massive amount of taxes. Additionally, there are no RMDs or no required minimum distributions with a Roth IRA or any Roth account, as with a traditional retirement account. Your Roth IRA funds can stay in the account and easily get passed to your heirs if you wish. Another significant Roth IRA benefit is that it's less punitive for taking early withdrawals before age 59 and a half compared to a traditional IRA. Since you must pay tax up front on Roth contributions, you can take those contributions as penalty-free distributions anytime. However, withdrawals of earnings would be subject to taxes plus a 10% early withdrawal penalty if you're younger than 59 and a half. Be aware that Roth IRAs have a rule that you must own the account for 5 years before qualifying to withdraw your earnings penalty-free, no matter your age. Therefore, I recommend opening a Roth IRA sooner rather than later, even if you can only make a small contribution just to get the account started. That ensures you'll never be in a situation where you must pay tax on the earnings portion of a Roth IRA distribution because you still need to satisfy the 5-year ownership requirement. So let's talk about the 2025 income limits to qualify for a Roth IRA. If you're single, you must have a modified adjusted gross income of less than $165,000, but you do qualify for a reduced contribution when you earn from $150,000 to $165,000, and you can make a full Roth IRA contribution with modified adjusted gross income under $150,000. Married taxpayers filing a joint return must have a modified adjusted gross income of less than $246,000, but they qualify for a reduced contribution when earning from $236,000 to $246,000, and you can both make a full Roth IRA contribution when your household MAGI is under $236,000. If you qualify to contribute to a Roth IRA, but let's say you become ineligible in the future because your income goes up, you can keep your account indefinitely and enjoy its tax-free growth. However, you can only make new contributions if your income dips below the annual allowable limit. You can open a traditional or a Roth IRA at many banks, brokerages, and other financial institutions. It's managed by a custodian who invests your funds as you direct them, and they handle any necessary administrative work. Cassandra didn't mention her income or if she has a traditional or Roth IRA, but I recommend that she max out a Roth IRA annually if she can. But if she earns too much, then maxing out a traditional IRA instead is a wise move. All right, the third account you should know is a SEP IRA. If you have part or full-time business income, in addition to qualifying for an IRA, you also qualify for retirement plans for the self-employed. Now, Cassandra didn't mention if she has self-employment income, but I just want to mention that, this is another category of retirement plans that may apply to you. And one of these accounts is a simplified employee pension, or SEP. The investment vehicle it uses is an IRA, so it's known as a SEP IRA. You can use a SEP IRA if you're an employer or you're self-employed with no employees. You can have any business entity. You could be a sole proprietor, a partnership, an LLC, or a corporation. A SEP IRA is treated like a traditional IRA for tax purposes because you typically make tax-deductible contributions. Your money grows tax-deferred until retirement, and then it gets taxed when you take distributions. If you withdraw money before age 59 and a half, you're typically subject to a 10% early withdrawal penalty plus income tax. Now, if you have a business with employees, a critical rule of a SEP IRA is that employees can never contribute their own money. The contributions can only come from you as the employer. For 2025, you can make SEP IRA contributions for each of your employees, and that includes yourself, up to 25% of their compensation for a maximum of $70,000. You must offer a contribution rate that's the same for all your employees, including yourself. In other words, if you create a SEP IRA for yourself, you must set one up for each eligible employee and contribute the same percentage to their accounts. For instance, if you draw a salary of $60,000 from your business and put 15% or $9,000 of your pay in a SEP IRA, you also have to contribute 15% of each employee's pay to their account. However, if you don't have a profitable year, you can stop contributions and resume them later if you wish. But you get a nice tax break for your generosity because contributions to your and your employees' SEP IRAs are tax deductible. It's really easy to set up a SEP IRA with a financial institution, a brokerage firm, or an investing platform. You can put contributions into various investments like index, mutual, and exchange-traded funds. Retirement account number 4 is employer plans like a 401k, 403b, or 457. So now we're going to switch gears and talk about employer-sponsored retirement plans. Tens of millions of Americans participate in workplace retirement plans, which may be why Cassandra is wondering whether she needs one. You can only enroll in a 401k or a similar workplace retirement plan when your employer offers it. So perhaps Cassandra never had a job that offered one, or she did but chose not to enroll in the plan at the time. Since Cassandra mentioned having a New York City pension, I'm guessing that's what the agency she works for has provided her. Workplace retirement plans allow employees to contribute a portion of their paycheck to various savings and investment options like CDs, mutual funds, index funds, and ETFs. Traditional retirement accounts give you an immediate benefit by making contributions on a pre-tax basis. And as I mentioned, that reduces your annual taxable income and your tax liability. You defer paying income tax on contributions and account earnings until you take withdrawals in the future. Or you might choose a Roth 401k or a Roth 403b if it's offered by your employer. With a Roth, you must pay tax up front on your contributions. However, your future withdrawals of contributions and earnings are entirely tax-free. A Roth 401k or a Roth 403b is similar to a Roth IRA. However, unlike a Roth IRA, they don't have an annual income limit to qualify for contributions. So that means even high earners can participate in a Roth at work or have one for their own business and reap the benefits. Similar to IRAs, if you withdraw funds from a traditional employer-sponsored retirement plan before 59 and a half, you must pay income taxes and a 10% penalty. However, you typically have the option to take penalty-free withdrawals as early as 55 if you leave employment that early. It's called the Rule of 55. In addition, some workplace retirement plans allow you to make hardship withdrawals or loans if you meet specific qualifications and need to get some money out of your account. Note that if you or a spouse participate in a retirement plan at work, you can also max out a traditional or a Roth IRA if you qualify for one. However, depending on your income, some or all of your traditional IRA contributions may not be tax deductible. Cassandra, having a pension is a terrific benefit, but you can always invest in your IRA up to the annual contribution limits to boost your retirement income. Plus, you can invest any amount you like using a taxable brokerage account. It doesn't offer tax benefits, but it doesn't require you to follow strict rules like, you have to follow with a retirement account. In other words, you don't necessarily need a retirement account to invest for retirement. So not having a workplace 401k really should not be an obstacle for you. If you have more money than you can invest in your IRA, I would look to a brokerage account. The fifth account we'll cover is a solo 401k. So I mentioned that you can only participate in a 401k when your employer offers one. So if you're self-employed with no full-time employees other than a spouse or a business partner, you qualify for a solo 401k. You can contribute as both an employer and an employee of your business. And that increases the annual contribution limit to one of the highest allowed for retirement plans. For 2025, those with a regular 401k can contribute up to $23,500 or $31,000 if they're over 50. If you have a solo 401k, the annual contribution limits are much higher, but they do depend on your business income. For 2025, the combined employer and employee contribution limit is up to $70,000 or $77,500 if you're over 50. And if you're between the age of 60 and 63, you qualify for an additional $11,250 as your catch-up contribution. That gives you a total maximum solo 401k contribution of $81,250. Note that if you have a regular 401k with another employer, you can also have a solo 401k. However, the employee limits apply per person, not per plan. So that means you can't exceed the employee limit I mentioned of $23,500 or $31,000 if you're over 50 for 2025, no matter how many 401ks you might have. So to summarize, anyone with qualifying earned income can have a traditional IRA, and if you don't earn over an annual threshold, you're eligible for a Roth IRA. But you only qualify for a workplace retirement plan like a 401k, 403b, or 457 when it's offered by your employer. Now, if you're self-employed and you are your own employer, you can have retirement plans designed for small businesses, including a SEP IRA or a solo 401k, depending on whether you work alone or hire employees. In addition, you can use multiple retirement accounts as long as you don't exceed the annual contribution limit. Now, let's talk about another part of Cassandra's question. She wanted to know if using a retirement account was a good idea when the markets are volatile. And the answer is that you should regularly invest for retirement no matter what's happening in politics, the economy, or the financial markets. It's always a good idea to be investing for the future. And that's because the U.S. economy and stock markets have repeatedly bounced back and exceeded expectations after volatile periods. While past performance certainly doesn't guarantee future success, the American economy is very resilient. Since 1980, the S&P 500, and that's a stock market index tracking the performance of 500 leading U.S. companies that are listed on exchanges, the S&P 500 has dropped 5% or more in most calendar years, and 10% or more in about half of them. So despite all of that volatility, the S&P 500's average return since 1980 has been about 12%. That's not bad. Even the 2008 financial crisis, when stocks fell nearly 50%, that was just a temporary setback for investors with a long-term outlook. However, if you have a short time horizon, like you're nearing retirement or you're in retirement, you can mitigate risk by owning a larger percentage of bonds and cash and owning fewer stocks. While it might feel unsettling to see the value of your portfolio go up and down, it is a normal part of investing for the long term. However, as I mentioned, if you need to spend funds in the short term, like within 2 or 3 years, that money should never be invested. You only want to invest money that you need for the long term, many years in the future. And the idea is that by the time you need those funds, the market will be higher than it is today. Now, if you're unsure how to manage investments on your own or during volatility, I always recommend getting help from an advisor. You might even consider using a robo-advisor. They have some great tools that allow you to input your risk tolerance and, set goals for yourself based on your time horizon. Or you might want to work with a certified financial planner or a retirement advisor for customized advice. Cassandra, thank you again so much for your question. Unfortunately, you don't qualify for a 401k because it's not offered in your workplace, but that's okay. You can certainly max out your IRA each year, and if you've got more to invest, look at investing through a taxable brokerage account. And, because you have pension income, working with a retirement planner might be a really good idea. They can help you look at what that income plus any future Social Security income is going to provide for you, and then help you understand how to make up that shortfall, understand how much you do need to save in order to have the income that you need in retirement. I hope this has been helpful. Before we go, I want to invite you to subscribe to The Money Stack. That's my Substack newsletter when you visit lauradadams.com. It's filled with money tips, tools, news, challenges, and things I enjoy. You can subscribe for free or support the show as a paid member and also get access to live educational events. That's all for now. I'll talk to you soon. Until then, here's to living a richer life. Money Girl is a quick and dirty tips podcast, and we've got a great team that I want to thank. Steve Rickyberg audio engineers the show. Brandon Gatchus is our director of podcast. Holly Hutchins is our digital operations specialist. Morgan Christensen is our advertising operations specialist. And Nathaniel Hoops is our marketing contractor.